Hello, creative people! It's Sherry with Dragon Wagon Studio. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. In this video, I am planning on playing with some deep pour resin. Yes, it sounds scary. This stuff usually takes about 3 days to cure, depending how deep you're going and what you're pouring with. We're just going to start out small and dip our toes in the water. I'll be doing 2 little fun molds I just got. I ordered in for Halloween. This one's a cute little tree stump with some little mushrooms on it. It's supposed to be a little plant holder. I'm holding it upside down. That's what I'll kind of get an idea. Really hard to see on this, but anyway. It's a cute little plant holder, so we'll do that one. This one's just a dragon claw. It's a little tea light to just put in his little hand here. Very up my alley. It will go excellent with all my decor. So we'll do that. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to deep pour with these where you're not going to end up with bubbles. And then I have this other little fun one. It's a deep mold. It's about 2 inches deep. So I will use some deep pour resin in this one over just crafting your table or any of those sorts. And yeah, it's just a little skeleton. I think it's supposed to be an ashtray, but I'm going to make it a candle holder. And just got these little cute skeletons and their little cute bums. So I think it's adorable. Naked skeletons, cute, yeah, okay. Anyway, yeah. I'll give you guys some tips and tricks on pouring deep pours, and making sure that you have the right resin for the job is going to be the most important. So make sure you have deep pour resin, whether it be 2 inches or 4 inches or deeper. I haven't actually seen deeper than 6. I want to say 6. But anyways, I know magic resin carries 2-inch and 4-inch, and that is usually where I get my resin from. The resin is really great, and I haven't had any issues with it, and the price is right. Anyway, let's get on. Talk, blah, blah, blah. Talk is cheap, but let's put my money where my mouth is and get pouring. Okay, guys. So I don't know how much resin I'm going to need for these deep molds, but I know it's going to be lots. So we're going to need a bigger cup. Alright, so I'm going to be mixing in this baby. So deep pour resin is a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 part A, 1 part B. And I'm going to guess I'm going to need at least 250. That's probably about maybe even 300 for this guy. This guy's probably 200. That's probably more 300. And this one's probably going to be closer to 4. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to do like 700. We'll do 250B, 500A. I'll give it 750, and I should be able to do all 3 of these. You don't want to get these measurements messed up, especially when it takes 3 days to cure. No joke. This deep pour resin takes for literal ever. Deep pour resin is incredibly viscous. It is very, very thin. It takes a long time to harden up. It pours like water. I probably won't even need the drill. 250 there. See how liquidy that is? That's the part B. It's your hardener, ironically. Now we're going 500 part A. Alrighty. Here's our part A. You're really going to have to plan ahead on where you're going to keep these for the next few days. And keep them covered to keep any dust out of them from floating around. Or pet hair or any of that kind of stuff. And on level ground. So the reason why the viscosity is so low on deep pour resin is because of the bubble issue. That's why it's so thin. So I'm just going to give it a little mix here. Yay, look at all the bubbles I put in there. Downfall of the drill. But that's about it. The rest of it is awesome.
Alright, my plan for these is, this one I'm just going to paint lightly with some black. I'm going to use white. I'm not making anything too fancy with this one. I just want to see how well the mold does, because there's quite a few nooks and crannies where all these little skulls are. Like, these are big, deep holes in there, so I want to see how well it plays. Just going to dust over these details with some black, and then I'm going to use white mica powder as a filler on that guy. I'm going to do coffee with the tree stump, and then because you can't really paint these molds that great, I couldn't flip it out inside out that, well, you could this one, but not that one, I couldn't, to really paint the details. So I'll paint the details after, but I'm going to use the coffee as my base coat for that. And also going to do the same thing with this one. I just haven't decided if I want to do dark green or dark blue. But I will be painting all the nails and getting some highlights of iridescence on the scales. A little snake in there to do and some rock texture. So I don't really want to go traditional green monster claw hands. So I'm kind of leaning towards a blue, but I've done that sapphire blue in my last deep pour. So I think I'm leaning towards the green, because I know how that turns out. So let's do this one. That, and that. Alright, I know what I'm doing now. I almost kind of just want to pour resin in these and just see how much they are, so I have a better idea. Yeah, that's smart. Let's do that. Let's figure out how much these actually are, since I have some resin made up, and we'll just do that. And which goes into my first hack. So let's find out how much resin this actually takes. There we go. Alright, measuring cup. I spilled a bunch. Tip number 1. Pre-lube your mold. Get rid of your surface bubbles first with coating it with resin before you do your pour. So now I know that this mold is 110 milliliters to do that mold. Perfect, awesome, great. And now it's all pre-lubed up with the resin, and get rid of any surface bubbles. See, there's some right here. They form, they're right there, just by the contact. The air is already on your silicone, and that contact traps those bubbles in between the layer of silicone and your resin. So that's how that happens. You want to know the science on it. So let's throw our coffee in there and get this pretty. Let's see how far that takes us. Not very far. That's pretty translucent still. I'm going to throw a bunch more in there. There we go. Still pretty translucent. It's also the viscosity of the resin that doesn't help in that area. Throw another little scoop in there. I want it a little bit darker. Don't want to compromise the integrity of the resin, so I'll stop there and won't add any more. It'll be what it is. What will be, will be. Here we go. Just a little bit of resin sitting in the bottom, and I'm just getting it to come and lube up the sides again. It's all coated in there nicely. You can even use your finger to get in there and get all these little mushrooms and nooks and crannies, or whatever mold you're using. That's where all your bubbles are going to hide, is in these little nooks and crannies. So whatever mold you're using, just be wary of that. Alrighty, here we go, little tree stump. There, so you can see the color there as I'm pouring it. It's really pretty. I love this coffee color. I've used it in a few projects now. Just a nice brown. I'm going to fill that all the way up. I'm not filling it quite all the way to the top. I don't want it overflowing. I still have to move it, so it's not staying on my table to dry for 3 days. I got other projects to work on, so I'm going to be moving it to a safe place where it's not going to get knocked over or get dust or anything in there. So yeah, that's going to be 3 days. I might put a little more in there just to fill that up, but I'm going to move it first. Got a level space, so I'll just add a little bit of resin to that at the end. Hack number 2, alcohol trick. So in this trick, I'm going to coat the inside with alcohol and get rid of the surface bubbles that way. I'm also going to leave the alcohol in there because it will evaporate out. It's not going to harm your resin at all. And I'll pop any bubbles that are in these deep dark corners that you can't really get into. So alcohol is tip number deuce. This one is going to be dark green. There's a big heaping scoop. Use lots in that other one. This is a really pretty green too. I like just doing solid colors for deep pour resin. Seeing how it takes so long, it's really hard to do mixed colors and get a solid result. It's too thin, it's too watery, everything is just going to blend together. So if you're new into deep pour resins, there's a couple little differences you need to know, and that is one of them. So if you're doing stuff like you want to do like a ring pour or something like that, you can't do that with this resin. It's not going to work the way you'd like. All right, let's get this poured in there. And I'm just going to pour a little bit. And I'm going to move that around. Let's make sure I got all my bubbles out of there. The alcohol is evaporated out of there already, but we did add that resin in there. Squeeze out any bubbles. Sometimes that makes more bubbles. The whole idea is less bubbles with deep pours. I'm going to give it a little pat in case any get trapped in there. You kind of bring them up a little bit. You can see them all sitting on the top there. Those are all bubbles. That's why it takes so long to cure, because the bubbles will slowly release. The air will come to the top over the course of the curing process. Alrighty, and there is our claw. The claw! The claw! Alright, moving this guy to the safe zone. I will go over with a little bit of heat and get those top bubbles off, just in case you're wondering. I will be doing that with a lighter, not my heat gun. I don't want to be blowing that thin resin anywhere. Also, using torches and molds will have your resin fused to your mold. So if you ever have a problem getting your resin out of your mold, it's because you use a torch. So don't do that. Wreck your molds. Alright, I'm just going to clean these up quick, so I'll come back and do this skeleton one. But I am going to paint it real quick first also. So I like cleaning my tools right away because it's easy and it's done. It's just really good habits to do that. I'm just going to take some mica powder and just dust over some of these details, just the skeleton details. I'm just going to kind of rush through it. Not going to bother with any acrylic mediums today. Just going to kind of almost vintage like. I just kind of want to do some shadows. I just want to see how the mold does. Alright, so that's their heads. Those are their bums. Their hands. Alright, well, I got a little messy, but that's okay. I kind of want it to look a little rustic. A little rustic. Just really want to see what this mold looks like anyways. So, technique number 3 for deep pours is to heat up your mold first and get it nice and warm for your resin. So I'm just going to pour, I don't know, maybe about 200 and get this tinted into white. A giant scoop in there. About that much, I think. That's what we've been using on the rest. Let's see what that looks like. I wonder if I should add some alcohol ink in there. That's pretty translucent. Like, I like the ivory look, but I think I'm going to add in some Snow Cap by Ranger. See what that does. See what that does. Mix that in. There we go. That's going to be more opaque, and it's still going to have that nice luster to it with the mica powder. So before I pour this, I'm going to warm up my mold. Doesn't take long with a heat gun. They produce lots of nice heat. And we're just going to slowly pour that in. I'm trying to fill up these little skull spots here. I'm going to give it a little bit of tappy and some warmth. We'll pop some more bubbles. So those bubbles coming up. Get some warmth. I just have it on low. You don't want to scorch it. We're just keeping it Well, we're just heightening up the curing process. Always pouring slow. Well, make sure you don't add more bubbles in when you're pouring also. When you just go and pour super fast, you're just splashing resin around. Alright, so I'm gonna guess another 100 mils to fill that. So we'll just add some more here. I'm measuring this as I go so I know how much my mold is since they're new molds. I think we've got another 30 mils, but the table's not level here either. So let's move these. I'll add a little more resin in them. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh my god, oh my god. How? Should have waited to pour that last little bit. Don't spill. There we go. We're on level ground, we made it! Hooray! Alright, so I'm just going to add some more resin in those and top them up, and then we will see you in 3 days.
Alright, creative people! Our molds are ready to be taken apart. See how easy these will be. I don't know if I'll need soapy water or not. They should be pretty straightforward. This one's kind of might be the hardest one, just because it goes over this big lip with fingers here. So let's see, get it off. Tricky. Oh, it's looking really nice though. Ooh. I do not have strong enough hands to be ripping these apart. I'm gonna have to get the legs involved. Probably have to say some profanities. Holy whew, we got a claw. Holy Christ. Does not like to come out. But that turned out freaking cool. Just gotta clean up the edge there a little bit. But yeah, this is Deep Pour Resin. Zero bubbles. It took 3 days to dry. It's actually been 5 since I poured it. But yeah, I love that green. So I will paint little bits of this, add some color to it. Likely paint the scales a little bit. Well, not these scales. I don't know. There's a snake on here. I can just add some color. Just some highlight colors just to pop out the 3D more. I'm not going to totally paint it, but just a little hint. And that does not fit properly. That sucks. Well, that's a bummer. This is too big for that. Dumb. Ugh. Oh well. It'll still hold it. It's too bad it doesn't fit in there securely, so you don't have to worry about it falling over and starting a fire, but oh well. Anyway, moving on. Let's do our tree stump. This one should be a little easier. It's pretty straightforward. Let's get my little mushrooms out. Boop. Oh, nice. That turned out really nice. That's really nice. So this was a matte mold. This one is a gloss mold, so you can see the difference there. Shiny and not as shiny. But it still looks really cool with the mica powder because we did get a lot of different highlights in with the textures of the mold. So I'll add a little hints of color on these little mushrooms just to pop them out. And yeah, that's a cool little cute plant holder. I love it. It's so cute. Let's see. Do I have a tiny little plant I could put in there? Not really. No, I don't have any good examples. That's the smallest one I have, so. Anyway, I'll have to find some fake plant somewhere. Looks like another trip to my favorite store, dollar store. So that turned out pretty cool. I'm happy with that. That was a really nice mold. So yeah, no bubbles, no imperfections. Oh, actually I did get some in the mushrooms, which actually kind of goes nice with the mushrooms. It's in the wild, sometimes you get those imperfections in mushrooms. This one ended up spilling over. It did fill it a little bit too high, like a millimeter. Alrighty, come on my little skeletons. Ooh, who's tight around these heads? This one's gonna be a little tricky too. Get the little heads out. Alright, there we go. Let's see. That one will fit better in there. That's what I bought it for, just so I can put a big fat candle in there.
I think it's supposed to be an ashtray, but I don't smoke, so... Nor would I use a resin ashtray. Like, that's just really ridiculous. Anyway, so the mica powders came out kind of cool. It's kind of that, you know, kind of grungy look. So I like how that came out. And they're all just a little bit different. They're really cute. Yes, I am not weird. I think skeletons are cute. I don't know. It turned out really great. I don't see any imperfections in this one. Like, I thought for sure I'd get a bubble on some of these skulls. But that is the beauty of deep pour resin. You can do these deep molds. It just takes a long time to dry, but it takes that long so it can have time to release all the bubbles before they get trapped in there. That is the whole point of deep pour resin. No, I'm not finding anything in here. Don't see anything. So yeah, the only one I had troubles with is a couple little mushrooms. Had some bubbles in them that got stuck there. I did not loop up the mushrooms as well as I could have, but that's okay. So next I'm going to be adding some color on these, but I'm not going to be showing you in the video. This video is just about deep pouring techniques and some little hacks that will help you along to avoid wasting resin and having some failures and getting a lot of bubbles in your projects. So make sure you're using the right resin for the job, and deep pour resin is for these types of molds where you have a hard time trying to get the bubbles out because of all the little nooks and crannies and the high details that they have. Like these little skulls, I thought for sure I'd get some bubbles because they were such a tiny little space that could trap so many of them in there, but I'm not seeing a single one. So, beauty of deep pour resin, my friends. I hope you got good tips from this video. I hope you guys can use this information in your deep pours and it helps you out so you guys have more success when you're pouring your deep molds. If you have anything else you'd like to add, maybe I missed a technique that you use that you find very successful, throw that in the comments and let me know what you guys do. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button for me. I do this as a living, as a small-time creator. It really helps me get my content out there, and I love doing these videos for you guys and sharing my information and wisdom with you all. Thank you so much. Stay creative, and I'll catch you in the next one.